Have you ever noticed how some of the most immoral, manipulative, and ruthless people always seem to rise to the top, while those who play fair, follow the rules, and try to act with integrity often fall behind? Take a deep breath and think about this for a moment. Have you ever wondered why the world seems to reward precisely those who have no fear of cheating? This is not just an impression. History is full of examples. Emperors who ruled with an iron fist, CEOs who became wealthy by exploiting others, leaders who seized power without concern for ethics. And the most unsettling part? Many of them not only reached the top, they stayed there for a long time. But why? What is it about the nature of power that seems to favor the most ruthless? Is morality just an obstacle to success? The truth is that the world doesn't reward kindness. It rewards competition. And competition often has nothing to do with fairness. But before falling into cynicism and believing that only the worst people win, there is an even more important question. Is this kind of success sustainable? Or are those who gain power without scruples actually digging their own downfall? Today we will explore this question through the lens of Friedrich Nietzsche, one of the most controversial and visionary philosophers in history. He saw power in a completely different way from traditional morality, and understanding this vision can change the way you see success, ambition, and even your own life. So if you have ever felt that the world is not fair, that the rules seem to favor the most unscrupulous, and that perhaps you need to understand this game better so you're not just a pawn in it, stay with me until the end, because what you will discover today may transform the way you see power and how you use it. If the world does not reward kindness but rather competition, then we need to understand what is really at stake. And for that, we need to talk about power. Nietzsche saw power in a very different way from traditional morality. To him, power was neither good nor bad. It simply is. A raw force of nature, like fire or gravity. It does not make judgments. It does not take sides. It simply exists. And here is the crucial point. Those who understand this reality and know how to navigate it tend to thrive. Those who ignore or reject this truth often end up being crushed by it. But what exactly is power? For Nietzsche, power is not just the ability to dominate others. It is, above all, the ability to assert one's own will upon the world, to shape reality instead of being shaped by it. And this is where we begin to understand why some of the worst people seem to succeed. They do not ask for permission. They do not wait for the world to be fair. They simply take what they want. But does this mean we should act the same way? That the only way to win is to abandon morality and play dirty? Not necessarily. Nietzsche believed that morality was not a universal truth, but rather a construction created throughout history. And according to him, there are two fundamental forms of morality: master morality and slave morality. These two worldviews not only explain why some people rise to the top while others remain submissive, but they also reveal one of society's greatest paradoxes: the morality of the weak often strengthens the immoral. Imagine a victorious warrior, a conqueror who does not ask for permission to exist. For him, what is good? Everything that strengthens, everything that expands his power and influence. Master morality is based on strength, courage, and ambition. Those who follow this morality do not expect the world to be fair. They create their own rules. They do not seek approval. They do not worry about pleasing everyone. They simply live according to their own will. For Nietzsche, this was the morality of great leaders, of innovators, of those who shape history. They do not worry about justifying their power. They simply exercise it. But if this is the morality of winners, why don't most people think this way? Now imagine those who do not have the strength to fight, those who have always been under the rule of the powerful. They cannot win by force, so what do? They create a new morality, one that turns their weaknesses into virtues. Slave morality glorifies humility, obedience, and sacrifice. It teaches that power is evil, that ambition is dangerous, that the strong are oppressors, and that the weak are morally superior. This morality did not arise by chance. It was a response from the oppressed to try to level the playing field. If they could not defeat the masters by force, then they needed to defeat them through guilt. And here is the problem. This morality does not stop the immoral from rising, it strengthens them. While the just hesitate, the ambitious take control. While those who follow slave morality wait for justice to prevail, those who follow master morality simply do what needs to be done. Nietzsche was not saying that we should be tyrants or that compassion is useless. What he wanted to show is that traditional morality often weakens us without us realizing it. If you believe that power is bad, that ambition is immoral, and that success should come only to the good, then you have already started the game at a disadvantage. And this is exactly why so many honest and hardworking people never reach the top. They were taught to wait, to ask for permission, to believe that the world is fair. Meanwhile, those who understand the true game of power simply move forward without looking back. But does this mean that the only way to win is to become immoral? Here arises an inevitable question. Is power something evil, or have we simply misunderstood it? From an early age, we are taught to distrust power. We believe that it corrupts, that it turns good people into tyrants, that those who seek it are greedy and unscrupulous. But is this really true? Or was this negative view of power created precisely to prevent ordinary people from seeking it? Nietzsche saw power in a completely different way. To him, power was not something destructive. It was a creative force. And understanding this difference can completely change the way you see your own life. When we talk about power, many people think of domination, manipulation, exploitation. But this is just a limited view. True power is not about controlling others, it is about overcoming yourself. Nietzsche believed that the drive for power, what he called the will to power, was the fundamental force of life. Everything in nature seeks to grow, to expand, to become stronger. From a tree stretching its branches toward the sun, to an artist striving to perfect their work, the desire for power is present in everything that lives. The problem is not power itself, it is how it is used. Yes, power can corrupt. History is full of examples of leaders who, upon gaining power, became tyrants. But this happens not because power is evil, but because many people are not prepared to handle it. Power amplifies who you already are. If you are insecure, power can make you paranoid. If you are selfish, power can make you cruel. But if you have a purpose, power can make you a creator. The problem is not power. It is the lack of self-mastery. Tyrants fall because they use power to exploit, but those who truly leave a legacy are the ones who use power to create. Think of the great innovators, the leaders who transformed the world, the thinkers who changed history. They did not just take power, they built something greater than themselves. And that is the great difference between those who merely accumulate power and those who truly do something meaningful with it. If power is a tool, then the question is not whether it is good or bad. It is how you choose to use it. You can use it to manipulate, deceive, exploit. Or you can use it to build, transform, inspire. The choice is yours. But one thing is certain. If you reject power, you hand over your destiny to those who are not afraid to use it. And that is the worst form of submission. Nietzsche did not see power as something evil. He saw power as the essence of life. The problem is not power itself, but how it is understood and used. If you want to have control over your own life, you need to stop fearing power and start understanding it. Because in the end, true power is not about dominating others. It is about becoming the best version of yourself. And that is the only way to achieve something truly worthwhile. If traditional morality often weakens those who blindly follow it, while the ambitious move forward without hesitation, an inevitable question arises. What differentiates those who reach the top from those who remain on the sidelines? The answer lies in the psychology of the powerful. The natural world does not reward kindness, it rewards strength and adaptation. The lion does not ask for permission to hunt. The storm does not apologize for destroying. Nature does not follow a moral code. It follows the logic of survival. And whether we like it or not, the human world works in a similar way. Those who reach the top share certain psychological traits that make them more likely to succeed, and understanding these traits can help you compete without being naive and without having to become a tyrant. The powerful do not wait for opportunities to appear. They create them. They are not content with what they have, nor do they accept limitations imposed by others. They see the world as a chessboard and are always planning their next move. While many hesitate, doubt themselves, or wait for validation from others, the ambitious simply move forward. Fear paralyzes. It prevents people from making bold decisions, from taking risks, from facing challenges. The powerful, on the other hand, have a different relationship with fear. They are not necessarily fearless, but they know how to act despite fear. They understand that risk is part of the game and that hesitation can be fatal. While many avoid conflicts and challenges, the powerful face them head-on. This may seem cruel, but it is a reality. Those who reach the top do not allow excessive empathy to paralyze them. They know that at many moments they will have to make difficult decisions and that not everyone will be satisfied with them. This does not mean they are heartless monsters. It means they do not let the need to please others stop them from acting. Many fail because they are afraid to displease, to say no, to make unpopular decisions. The powerful understand that they cannot please everyone, and that trying to do so is a sure path to mediocrity. From childhood, we are taught that good always wins, that effort will be rewarded, that justice will prevail. But reality is very different. The most honest do not always lead. The hardest workers do not always become rich. The world is not a fairy tale. It is a battlefield where those who understand the rules have an advantage over those who simply hope things will work out. The powerful do not waste time complaining about the world's injustice. They learn the rules of the game and use them to their advantage. The biggest mistake of many good and talented people is believing that the world operates fairly, that being honest, hard-working, and kind is enough for success to come naturally. But success is not given, it is taken. This does not mean you need to become immoral to win, but it does mean that if you do not understand how the game of power works, you will always be a piece on someone else's chessboard. Nietzsche did not advocate cruelty, he advocated self-overcoming. And understanding this concept may be the key for you to gain power without corrupting yourself. If there is one thing that keeps many people trapped in mediocrity, it is the belief that the world is fair. From a young age, we are taught that good always wins, that effort will be rewarded, and that, in the end, justice will prevail. Children's stories, movies, and even popular culture reinforce this idea. The hero triumphs, the villain is punished, and everything is resolved in a balanced way. But reality does not work like that. If the world were just, the most honest people would be in power. The hardest workers would be the richest. The kindest would be the most respected. But look around you. Is that what happens? The truth is that the world does not reward kindness. It rewards strategy. There is a psychological phenomenon called the just world belief, studied by psychologists like Melvin Lerner. This belief makes us think that people get what they deserve, that the good will be rewarded and the bad will be punished. But this mindset is dangerous. It leads to passivity. It makes people wait for justice to happen on its own instead of taking control of their own lives. It also leads to disillusionment. When someone who has always followed the rules realizes they are not being rewarded, they feel betrayed. Why is that dishonest person at the top while I, who have always done everything right, remain in the same place? The answer is simple. The system is not broken. It was designed this way. The world does not operate based on morality, but on power and influence. This does not mean you need to be immoral to win, but it does mean that if you do not understand this dynamic, you will always be controlled by those who do. The powerful do not wait for justice to favor them. They create their own opportunities. They do not worry about following rules that limit them. They learn to play within the system or even create their own rules. Meanwhile, those who blindly believe in the justice of the world keep waiting. Waiting for recognition, waiting for someone to value them, waiting for success to come as a reward for their goodness. But success does not work that way. If you want to succeed without corrupting yourself, you need to abandon the illusion of a just world and start acting strategically. Stop waiting for recognition. The world will not reward you just because you are a good person. You need to position yourself, stand out, and make your value seen. Understand the rules of the game. If you do not know how power works, you will always be manipulated by those who do. Accept that life is not fair, and use that to your advantage. Instead of complaining about injustices, learn to navigate them. Nietzsche believed that those who see reality as it is and not as they wish it to be have a massive advantage over those who live trapped in illusions. And that is exactly what differentiates those who merely survive from those who truly thrive. If the world is not just and power is not given but taken, then an inevitable question arises. How can one compete without becoming a tyrant? Nietzsche's answer to this question was that there was a superior path, a path that was neither submission nor tyranny. This path is that of the Übermensch, the Overman or Superman. But what does this mean? Nietzsche saw the Übermensch as a being who transcends the illusions of traditional morality and takes full responsibility for their own existence. He does not cling to the rules imposed by society, but he also does not become a tyrant who seeks power for power's sake. Instead, he creates his own values and shapes the world around him. The Übermensch does not seek external validation. He does not need others to approve of his choices. He does not allow himself to be limited by beliefs that weaken him. But unlike tyrants, he does not rule through fear, he builds something greater. Many confuse power with domination. They believe that being strong means crushing others, manipulating, deceiving. But Nietzsche saw this as a mistake. Tyrants may seize power quickly, but their reign is fragile. They rule through fear, and fear always generates resistance. Sooner or later they fall. The Übermensch, on the other hand, does not just take power, he creates something lasting. He does not need to destroy to win. He builds, innovates, transforms, and that is exactly what differentiates those who merely accumulate power from those who truly leave a legacy. If you want to compete without losing your integrity, you need to adopt the mindset of the Übermensch. This means not seeking external approval. The Übermensch does not live to please others. He follows his own path, creating his own values. Instead of blindly following the rules imposed by society, he defines what is important for himself, accepting reality as it is. He does not delude himself with the idea of a just world. He understands the rules of the game and uses them to his advantage, transforming power into creation. Instead of merely dominating, he builds something of real value. Nietzsche was not saying that everyone should become Übermenschen. He knew that most people would remain trapped in the illusions of traditional morality, but those who choose this path discover something powerful, the freedom to live without fear, without guilt, and without depending on the approval of others. If the Übermensch represents someone who transcends illusions and creates his own path, an essential question arises: how can this mindset be applied in the real world? Because understanding that power is not given but taken is one thing. Knowing how to take it without becoming someone you despise is another. After all, you don't want to be naive and be exploited, but you also don't want to become a tyrant who destroys everything around you. So how can you compete without losing your integrity? The answer lies in playing the game of power with strategy, intelligence, and purpose. Here are the fundamental principles to achieve this. The first mistake many people make is believing they can ignore the game of power. They think that simply being good, hardworking, and honest will naturally lead to success, but the world does not work that way. If you do not understand the rules of the game, you are not outside of it. You are being played by someone smarter. This means you need to learn how power works, how people influence each other, how decisions are made behind the scenes, how those who reach the top think and act. But there is a crucial difference. You understand the game, but you do not become a slave to it. You do not need to play dirty. You just need to know how to protect yourself and how to advance without being manipulated. Many people waste time complaining about the injustices of the world. They get angry because they see dishonest people prospering while those who follow the rules fall behind. But Nietzsche teaches us something powerful. Rebellion without action is useless. What can you do? Accept that life is not fair, and instead of lamenting, use this reality to your advantage. This means stopping waiting for recognition, stopping the belief that success will come automatically, and starting to act strategically to create your own opportunities. Many people fear power because they were taught that it is something evil, but power, like fire, is neither good nor bad. It depends on how you use it. If you reject power, it doesn't disappear. It simply falls into the hands of someone who is not afraid to use it. So instead of running from power, learn to master it. This means developing influence skills, learning how to position yourself, and understanding how to make strategic decisions. Power does not have to corrupt. It can be a tool to create something greater. Being a good person is not a problem. The problem is being naive. Many people believe that simply being kind and fair will make the world reward them. But, as we have seen, the world doesn't work that way. This means you need to balance kindness with strategy. Be kind, but do not be easily manipulated. Help others, but know when to say no. Be fair, but do not expect everyone to play fair. Kindness without strategy makes you an easy target. But kindness with strategy makes you someone respected and influential. The powerful are not cold and insensitive. They simply know when to trust and when to be cautious. This means developing what we call strategic empathy. In other words, being able to read people's intentions, understand their true motives, and act accordingly. This prevents you from being deceived, exploited, or used by those who play dirty. And at the same time, it allows you to build powerful alliances with those who are truly worth it. One of the greatest weaknesses of people is the fear of rejection, the fear of making mistakes, the fear of failure. But the Übermensch does not allow himself to be paralyzed by these fears. He understands that failure is part of the process, that rejection is inevitable, that no one reaches the top without facing challenges. This means you need to develop emotional resilience. Stop seeking constant approval. Accept that not everyone will like you. Understand that every mistake is a lesson, not an end. True power comes from within, and those who master their emotions master the world. This does not mean being cruel or inhuman. It means knowing when to act with firmness. Sometimes you will need to make unpopular decisions. Cut toxic ties. Say no without guilt. Many people fail because they hesitate too much, because they are afraid of displeasing others, because they avoid conflict at all costs. But those who truly thrive know that, at certain moments, you must act without hesitation. This does not mean being immoral. It means not allowing fear to stop you from doing what needs to be done. Tyrants fall because they exploit. The Übermensch thrives because he builds. If you want power that lasts, you need to create something of real value. This could be a business, a legacy, an idea, a community. Something that goes beyond yourself. Because true power is not just about conquering. It is about leaving a mark that no one can erase. Competing without losing integrity does not mean being naive. It means understanding the game of power, but playing it with intelligence and purpose. It means not being a slave to the rules imposed by others, but also not becoming a tyrant who destroys everything around him. It means finding the balance between strength and morality. And above all, it means taking control of your own life. Now, the question remains, how will you play this game? Because the world will not change to become fairer, but you can change so that you are no longer a victim of it, because the world will not change to be fairer. The rules of the game will not become kinder. Power will continue to be taken by those who understand it and ignored by those who fear it. So you have three options. Be naive and wait for justice to prevail. You can continue believing that simply being a good person will naturally lead to success. But if you choose this path, you must be prepared for frustration, because the world does not reward only kindness, it rewards strategy. Be ruthless and lose your soul. You can decide to play dirty, manipulate, deceive, and step on others to reach the top. But this path comes at a price. Power gained through destruction is fragile, and sooner or later, those who rule through fear end up falling. Learn to play with strategy and integrity. You can choose the path of the Übermensch, the path of those who understand the game but do not become slaves to it. Those who use power to create, not to destroy. Those who build something lasting without needing to corrupt themselves in the process. And that is the real question. How will you play this game? You can continue waiting for the world to be fair. Or you can accept reality, learn the rules, and use them to your advantage without losing your essence in the process. The choice is yours. But remember, true power is not about dominating others. It is about mastering yourself. Do you believe it is possible to succeed without being immoral? How do you deal with the game of power? Leave your comment below. I want to hear your thoughts on this topic. And if this video made you reflect, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more content like this. See you in the next video.